परमेश्वर मेरे, मन ही मन शर्माऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे आऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे। जग में भेजा निर्मल देकर काया, आकर के संसार में मैंने इसको दाग लगाया। जन्म जन्म की मैली चादर कैसे दाग छुड़ाऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे आऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे। निर्मल वाणी पाकर तुझसे नाम न तेरा गाया। नैन मूंद कर हे परमेश्वर कभी न तुझको ध्याया। मन वीणा की तारें टूटी अब क्या गीत सुनाऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे आऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे। इन पैरों से चल कर तेरे मंदिर कभी न आया। जहाँ जहाँ हो पूजा तेरी कभी न शीश झुकाया। हे हरिहर मैं हार के आया अब क्या हार चढ़ाऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे आऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे। दयालु सारा जगत संभाले। जैसा भी हूँ मैं हूँ तेरा अपनी शरण लगा ले। छोड़ के तेरा द्वारा दाता और कहीं नहीं जाऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे आऊं। मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे आऊं। हे पावन परमेश्वर मेरे मन मन ही मन शर्माऊं, मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे आऊं, मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे।
All right. Let me just ring some of the brothers, because normally I do that so that they are aware that we've started. Just give me a couple of minutes. Oh, sister is there. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhate Girim Yat Kripatam Vande Paramanandamadhavam. Oh Swami, please think through me, feel through me, speak through me, act through me, behave through me, conduct through me. Sai Ram. Sai Ram, brothers and sisters. Thanks for joining in this beautiful Sunday, which is in an attempt for the sun rays of wisdom, of intelligence, of discrimination to penetrate our being, so that we are able to guard and guide our life preceding weeks spiritually. So thanks to Swami, who helped us to start this Sunday Satsang online in February, before the corona restrictions came in, because we realized that whether it is physical or it is online or offline, the important thing is we should be able to communicate to the God within. Right? We have been through all the structures, from the womb to tomb, from church to temples. And while that journey continues, which got halted a bit in the middle due to corona times, but the communion with God, what satsang really means, was needed to be, continued with more vigor and understanding, so that we are able to establish that connection through study circles. And what Bhagwan has said about study circle is, study circle does not mean only just reading and discussing and taking information into the head, but also putting into practice. If knowledge is stored in the mind, it will cause confusion, which leads to blowing of the fuse. How will jnana develop if there is too much of confusion? So Swami says that if you go on eating all the 24 hours, it will result in indigestion, right? We experience that when we go to the buffets. So then he says, it will result in indigestion and disease. What is eaten should be digested, and then you should eat again. In the same way, what we listen, what we share in the study circle must be put into practice. Again, you have another round of listening in the study circle. Now, what you're doing is loading and loading and loading. And how can you sustain? So Bhagavan says, so you should go on loading, unloading, listening and practicing. You have to practice this, whatever you have learned. Then only it becomes ready and the real study circle. So brothers and sisters, here we have a definition and understanding on study circle of the satsang that we attend to, the bhajans that we attend to, whether it is having an impact and whether we are able to implement and put that as a part of the teachings, right? That is a prescription our divine doctor gives, that medicine is loving Swami and the diet is following his teachings. All right. So when we have said this, remember satsang or study circle is an invitation to step into the fire of self-discovery. Now, this is one fire which does not burn you, but it burns what you are not. What we are not is getting burnt. We were just talking to Sister Pratibha. She was undergoing some radiation because there is some part of the growth which needs to be attended, and Bhagavan has helped her all the way. Now, this study circle is burning of that which is detrimental for our spiritual progress. And that's an important part of understanding. And as he's always attempting to call, when we make Sai Shwarai with Mahe, when we are talking about it, we are sending the dial tone. We are ringing him up. All right. So the same way Bhagwan is ringing, he's ever ready with the phone. He's waiting for us to receive his call, to pick up his call. And that's the time when we concentrate and focus, maybe an hour that we try to do today, or when we attend bhajans, or when we do online satsang, we are able to somehow match the frequency and listen to his voice. All right. And I remember in 2007 youth conference, Bhagwan emphatically said, if you are able to focus thoughtlessly on me only for 11 seconds, that is only Swami and Swami, I will manifest. This assurance he gave. So if we are having an issue with Swami not listening to us, not guiding us, I think there's something that we are lacking, which is focus. So study circle helps us to understand, reconnect to the divine within, and explore this journey inwards more and more. And that is what independent means you get dependent inside to get the intuition, the tuition inside, so as to realize the God within. Moving ahead, the topic we started as part is, while we are doing what we are doing, to understand, are we spiritually progressing, right? We are moving in a direction. You have taken a cab to go to Changi, but are you going in the right direction? You have taken a train from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, right? So are we going in the right direction, or have we got down? Now what has happened is, in this world, as we've come in, we have got down into a different station, forgotten that the train that was leading us to the destination has been disembarked due to various engagements that we have, due to various web that Swami said, WW, World Wide Web of relationships, of multiple identities, friends, families, or whatever we have got embroiled in, right? So it's important to understand, take a step back and know whether we are spiritually progressing, right? So that is why, in the corporate world, the KPIs are set up, right? You have indicators to let you know and measure and map the process in the end of the year to understand whether you could achieve or not. And same way, we have to understand whether we are following the right path. So we had started briefly this, I won't get into all of them, but there are various milestones in this journey within that we start to cross and then understand, yes, we are progressing or we are not progressing, right? And it can be multiple milestones. I've just put some of them, but there are many things that we start with: satsangatve, nisangatvam, nisangatve, nirmohatvam. So when you start with two, with all together, then you come into one, and then from one you go within, and then you come to a stage of detachment, disillusionment, and then into Jivan Mukti that you start living in, as Buddha did after realization, spreading the message how to reach there, to be divine himself, right? The whole journey from Koham to Soham, as Bhagwan has said, the whole purpose of the organization is to rekindle whatever activities you are engaged with, is to rekindle the divinity within, right? So when we have that objective, have we rekindled or ehsas kiya hai? Have we felt him within? It's then that we have started moving in the journey ahead in the right way. Now here Bhagwan says, many of you come to Puttaparthi. Many of you come to Puttaparthi or visit holy places. You hear the scholars talking about scriptures. You have observed great noble souls. What is the benefit? Now he's putting a question mark. We have done all these activities. What is the benefit? Have you improved by this? Have you succeeded in least recognizing what is the Rajasic and the Tamasic qualities in us? That is things which are holding us and binding us, then liberating us. Recognizing them as deleterious is the first step to understand what I lack, to understand what are the shortcomings. To do and self-audit is important, right? It's called gap analysis in the corporate world, when you may measure the gap and then you put an action plan. And then Swami says, have you become more and more serene and poised, sattvika, as the years go by? Or are you the same dull, perhaps fiery individual? Even now when we see, tamasic, normally Kumbhakarna is associated with the word tamasic, inert, lying. And here we've seen, as we walk around Little India, there is a restaurant called Kumbhakarna. Now imagine, it's not plus or minus or I'm saying anything, but Kumbhakarna is the name of this restaurant. So when you go there, you're bound to eat more, because the name also sends a lot of vibrations All right. Now, you must, if you know the Lord, you must love the Lord more and lead your life with a good conduct. So he's saying that once you have known the gap, the important part of the process ahead is to love him more and more. And we saw ahead what Swami said as a prescription, as a divine doctor. What is the medicine is loving Swami, right? So the tamasic will start reducing. Once you focus on inculcating more love, the hatred will start dissipating away. And then he goes on to say, the devotee's feelings determine the concept of God. When a devotee says, oh Lord, I'm suffering, can't you see the troubles that I'm going through? We have these common questions, right? And then Bhagavan says, the Lord appears to him only as a pair of eyes. Today, most people meditate and they appear like yogis in their meditation. After meditation, they return back to the daily activities and the mundane pleasures. And in some of the parlance, he said, you become bhogis after that. And then in the evening, you become rogis after that. He said, this is not the way Lord preached. Lord Krishna declared, Satatam Yoginaha. That means it's all the time to be in that awareness. That is important. Think of the divine at all times. To pray to God when you are comfortable and to blame him when you are not or in the troubles is selfish and narrow. What is bound to happen cannot be prevented. Brothers and sisters, this is an important part we have discussed. We have done many sessions on destiny and free will and all. What is bound to happen here, the divine, director is saying, is bound to happen. Now, it eases up if we take his name and then cross those kind of hardships that come our way. Regard anything as a gift of God. Whether it is a rose or a thorn, everything coming to us is a gift of God. It is only when we develop such faith and love that true spirituality can grow. So when we are talking about are we spiritually growing, the Swami has given one point of the hint here that it's when we are taking anything which comes in life as, positively, with a positive mindset, then it means that. Now, are we spiritually progressing? The ladder is up there. Are we going ahead? Do we feel good going to the bhajans? Do we feel happy going to a seva activities? Do you feel even if you are going to a restaurant to have food, are you connected? Are you doing Brahmarpanam to offer that to Bhagavan? Right? When you're walking and you're moving across in a taxi or a cab, are you speaking lovingly or at least communicating him nicely? When you are going into the railway station where the porters come in India, we have these porters and all, have we tried to understand, empathize, and not argue and settle scores and put down their rates? The maids at house, everywhere you can apply this and understand whether we are progressing spiritually. So these are important milestones and landmarks to tell us whether we are going ahead in the right direction. Life is a pendulum, by the way. It swings, right? We have all seen our life. When a child is born, the pendulum is towards the happiness. But when in the life, the same child turns out to be adharmic or leads you into embarrassment, we see a lot of misguided individuals. We read about newses who ends up into terrorizing. When we see the unfortunate shootings in the recent times in US, God bless all the souls who were inflicted upon with this. But when you see that, the same happiness which it brought when the child was born gives sorrow to the parents, right? So same thing. So life is a pendulum. It's teaching us that one side you have saw profit, the other time there's bound to have losses. We have seen many industrialists, many business tycoons, and we have seen the downfall and then again rising up. Now here I'm reminded of Mohan Mirpuri ji, the person from if I'm not mistaken, he's from Indonesia. Yeah, and so his business was thriving well of garments and so on and so forth, and then suddenly there was a fire. He lost his business. Not fire. There was some market down crash, and he lost his business. He came to Swami. He said, "Swami, I've lost everything." And Swami said, "Is your pain more than that of Meera?" Swami said that to him. Is your pain more that of Meera, who was given poison to drink, who was threatened life, who was given snake in the form of garland? He said, "No, Swami, my pain is not that of greater." Then why are you sulking? You see what a beautiful message is there in this particular dialogue that Swami had with Mr. Mohan Mirpuri. He says, is your pain greater than those souls? So brothers and sisters, when we come across lower ebbs of life, let's think and put these great spiritual stalwarts that they have gone through so much and still held on to Bhagavan. Who are we? And then he says, you go down, go back, everything will be okay. Don't lose faith. And then he goes back He starts a small, I think textile mill, and then after a few days, it again catches fire, and everything is down. But Swami had told him, "Don't lose heart." Eventually, when he wanted to restart this business, he came back and then prayed to Swami again. Swami said, "Everything will be all right. This too shall pass." And when he goes back, out of the blue, there were people who were coming. There was an investor from US who came and said, "I'm going to invest for 6 months or 12 months. I'm not going to ask for any return." Then there were the workers, local workers, who said, "We'll not take salaries for the next, I think, 3 to 6 months," because his image was such nice. And eventually, brothers and sisters, cutting long story short, his business started back again. So life is about profit and loss. How we face is important, right? It's a pendulum. It's all about success and failures. Sometimes you have a prolonged period of failures, but every failure brings you closer to the success. Love and rejection. Sometimes we look at these stories happening around us, pleasure and pain. Now, it's like a pendulum which keeps swinging. And Bhagavan has said life is an interval. Pleasure is an interval between two pains. It is bound to happen. It happened to the Pandavas. It happened to Lord Rama. You tell us about any master, Lord Jesus, who did not go through this, vicissitudes of life, getting into the troubles. Every master displayed. The only difference was how they responded in those moments is something that we have to take a leaf from and learn. Now, when this pendulum is swinging, there is always a mean position, the median position, where the pendulum is still for a microsecond. Now, that particular moment defines equanimity. That means we are neither getting too happy when there is success, neither getting too sad when there is a failure, right? And one of the important measures of spiritual progress is how much time we take from the joy to come back to equanimity, or from the sorrow to come back to equanimity. What is the time and effort we take? Sometimes we get so irritated by some individuals, it takes hours, days. And remember one thing, if we exist in this state of mind, the thing which was an occurrence for one time becomes a thought process, becomes a tendency. You remember what Bhagavan has said, sow a thought, reap an action, sow an action, reap a habit, sow a habit, reap a tendency, sow a tendency, reap a character, sow a character, reap a destiny. So he's talking about thought leading to various things. So if we start getting into it, it becomes a part of our mood, part of our temperament, part of our character, and eventually our destiny. So it's very important for us to understand, map ourselves whenever we have deviated from the equilibrium, and how much time and effort we are taking to come back to the mean, forgive, forget, get over the losses, start again, will define our spiritual progress. Right? It's important. Both the stories are inevitable. Both the shades of life are inevitable, as Bhagavan says here. Life is a mosaic of pleasure and pain. Grief is an interval between two moments of joy. Correct? Peace is interlude between the two wars. You have no rose without a thorn. The diligent picker will avoid the pricks and gather the flower. There is no bee without a sting. Cleverness consists in gathering the honey nevertheless. Right? So it's very important for us to take the life as it comes and be balanced in our approach. Let's not swing like a pendulum to extremes all the time. In that case, we would be very, very far from spiritually progressing towards our divine destination. Moving on, what is the true state of samadhi? Now, again, this is something related to the earlier slide, which talks about what is samadhi. We had connected a few weeks back. Samadhi, which is equal-mindedness. It means equal-mindedness. In that condition, there will be no trace or difference between pleasure and pain. That is, you're weighing them equally, right? Virtue and sin, Prakriti and Paramatma. This alone is the evidence of equal-mindedness. This truly Swabhava, in contrast to this life, if a man aspires to something in his life, pursues various paths which you may take it as an indication of mental aberrations. Again, the true sense of samadhi, as Bhagavan defined, is merging of the mind in Atma alone is samadhi, right? When you are able to, like we spoke about the first slide, when Bhagavan is ready to call, are we connecting? Are we in sync to hear the voice of God within? The conscience voice, right? When we merge the mind in that conscience that becomes one pointed within, that is the true samadhi. It may happen to every one of us at some point of time for a fraction of a moment on a day when you are totally lost, when you're totally thoughtless. All right, it's important to understand that if we want to measure our spiritual progress, one of the very, very important thing is to measure equilibrium, whether we are in state of equilibrium or how much time we take to come back. Swami says Shanti is equanimity. To be equanimous is in the face of duality and outcomes, duality in pain, pleasure, joy and sorrow, success and failure is true Prashant, is true Shanti. The yardstick to measure devotion of a devotee. Now again he's saying, so again when we are talking about spiritual progress, what is the yardstick to measure? He says is the Shanti within, peace within, tranquility within, equanimity within. Right? Only that will determine how much devotion the person has. So the measurement of how much devotion we have for Lord or how much love we have for Bhagavan is determined by how equanimous with us. And when you look at these great spiritual masters, Professor Kasturiji, look at his equanimity despite so much of turbulence, as we have heard and read and seen in some of the radio sai and some of the videos, that he went through a lot of issues in the personal life. There were a lot of turbulences. But little did he ever go back to Swami and say, despite his daughter once saying, what is the use of you being so close, arranging and telling, oh, Swami, give him interview. Why don't you go tell the problem that we are facing? One of my, your son has died. The other one, my family is in turmoil. My mother, your wife is in bedridden. What kind of situation are we in? Can't you even go? And this is exactly what Swami Vivekananda went and told Ramakrishna Paramahansa. I'm facing so much of poverty. I'm not able to focus. I'm not able to gather a meal. And you are telling me to take Ma Kali's name. Can't you pray for me to Ma Kali? And then Ramakrishna said, go and yourself pray it. And when he goes there, after some time when he comes out, Ramakrishna Paramahansa said, did you pray to Kali for your problems? He said, no, I forgot everything. And this is what Professor Kasturi said here. He said that, do you accept that Bhagavan is, embodiment of perfection? She said, yes. His daughter said, yes. She said, so if he's already perfect, he's an embodiment of perfection. So whatever is happening in our life is by Swami's will. She said, yes. Then if it is already his will and his embodiment of perfection, so everything in our life happening is perfect. So if everything is perfect, where is the need for me to go and ask him? Brothers and sisters, look at the teaching, look at the part of the, ideal that Professor Kasturiji followed and set for us, that we should never complain. We should only pray, Swami, give me strength. This too shall pass. This is what Lord Krishna advised all the Pandavas when there was, when the kingdom was taken away, when they had to go to the forest. This was a message. This too shall pass. Look at Mirabai, as Bhagavan said, your problem is greater than Mirabai to Mohan Mirpuriji. Look at Lord Buddha, who was abused in rout by the people because they saw his growing clout. And then finally, after abusing for minutes and minutes, maybe hours, the person says that, what kind of person you are, what kind of metal you are made of. Don't you get irritated when I'm shouting at you? Buddha says, no, he doesn't. Then Buddha says, if suppose I give a gift to you or to someone and the person doesn't, you're giving me a gift and I don't take it, where does it go? He says it goes back to me. And that's what Buddha said. You gave me a gift of all these abuses. I did not receive it. So where does it go? It goes back to you. Now that's the example. That's the way it has been defined. If we have to actually map our spiritual progress, is to understand how much disturbance things around us are causing us. The paristhiti should not change your manosthiti. That is, circumstances should not change your mental, stability or equilibrium. Your manosthiti should change the paristhiti. Your being and your vibration should be able to change the ambience around. And that is what true spirituality means. All right. So this is an important part of our gap measurement to understand if we are spiritually progressing. Bhagavan says, are we at peace? Whatever we have done, are we nice? If you're going to bhajan, if you're coming out disturbed, there's no point. If you're going to seva, you're coming out disturbed. Why? Because somebody did not allow you to do this, or you wanted that seva and this one did not get. There's no point. There's no point in going. I always used to say to my children, I try to follow that when we open slippers, when I open slippers before entering to Sai center anywhere, I'm feeling that, Swami, I'm leaving and opening and every ego and everything that I'm coming, because I have to offer myself pure and clean to you. I can't react. I should not do anything that happens if it happens. It's important for us when we go to these places. It's for us to become a better version of ourselves after that activity. All right, let's move on. So another part is a transition from me being in control, I being in control, I am at the steering, Deha Bhiman, that means like a baby monkey holding everything I am doing. But do you think we have that kind of a strong grasp that we can hold on to God unless He wills and He holds us? It's an important transition we have to realize from the Deha Bhimana to Atma Bhimana. That is when we are human beings trying to have an spiritual experience, we have to transit to understand we are spiritual beings who have come down to have a human experience. That is Atma Bhimana. That is, now we are not driving, He is at the helm. So as long as we are driving, He is the witness, we are the participant. So we have to undergo all the travails, feel the pains, crests and troughs, pains and pleasures. But the moment we hand over the power of attorney, write in His name and say, hey, Swami, you please think through me, feel through me, act through me. It's not just saying, try to be aware about this, then I'm sure He takes over. And when He takes over, it becomes Atma Bhiman, that we have handed over to Him, like a kitten which is where the mother cat is holding the kitten, right? Effortlessly, the kitten will be transported from one place to another. So it's an important part. And I was listening to one of the satsangs. A very beautiful line came in respect to Deha Bhiman and Atma Bhiman. Sometimes we are doing the spiritual exercise, we are trying to meditate, and then meditation is what? Satsangatva and Nisangatvam. You know, you're coming from many to one. Now, what Professor Venkatraman explained there was, when you talk about Deha Bhimana, and he was talking about loneliness and solitude, what is the difference? When we are engrossed in Deha Bhimana, we feel loneliness. That means our body attachments, our various relationships and things around us. Somebody has disappointed, somebody is dejected, something wrong has happened, and then loneliness sets in. But when you are living in the constant presence of His awareness, and then you are alone and contemplative, it is solitude. So he was explaining beautifully the difference between loneliness and solitude. The physical existence is same, okay? The attribute is same, but look at the subtle impact of the two words, loneliness and solitude. So when you are focused only on Deha Bhimana, it's loneliness. When you're focused in Atma Bhimana, when you focus with Swami, trying to be one in sync with Swami, it is solitude. Okay, and solitude, of course, is more lasting, more pleasant to be in. All right. So again, a very important process of mapping our progress in life, spiritual progress in life, is how many times we could manage to shift the gear from Deha Bhimana to Atma Bhimana. That means I'm doing it to the other gear, which is He is working through me. He is doing through me. All right. So it's an important part of an assessment that we do. And Swami says, you know, it's like a car gear. When you change from gear 1 to gear 2, gear 3, it cannot be smooth unless what do? We press the clutch, correct? So Swami says every gear, pleasure, pain, Atma Bhiman, Deha Bhiman, you know, joy and sorrow, profit and loss. Whenever we are changing that gear, in order that the change be smooth and ripple free, we have to press the clutch of faith and surrender. He says, once you press, that means once you have this clutch of faith and surrender, the shifting of the gears will not cause a problem, will not cause a jerk. And we'll be very smoothly shifting between the speeds. Even the reverse gear will be welcome. Even the ahead gear 1 and 2 and 3 changes will not disrupt the movement. And that is important, brothers and sisters. The amount of faith and surrender will decide how we are progressing, how we are changing these gears of life, which is inevitably bound to happen. Let's move on. Again, Deha Virakti to Deva Asakti. It's the same thing Deha Viman and Atma Viman is once you get Virakti, Deha Virakti means you are getting disillusioned with the attachment, with the desires connecting to yourself, and you're getting more attached. So what happens is, the first thing is, the more and more you develop love for God, the more and more we start thinking of Swami. You know, it's like you have a salty solution, you mix some salt or some chili or whatever. Now you mix so much of sugar in it that the impact of the salt in the chili or whatever is lost. And that is what it is. The more and more Sai comes into our being, the more and more his love comes to our being, the remaining part of these negativities starts getting drowned and buried deep and deep. So if a seed gets deep buried, it will never germinate. So all these seeds of negativities, let us drown them with the Sai name. Let us bury them deep with the layers and layers of Sai love and Sai name, so that they don't germinate at all in our lives. All right. Uh, yeah. So I think we almost 11:15. We can have a short sharing in this, and then we move on with the remaining part of this spiritual progress in the next session. Okay. So can I request Pratibha, if you want to share your part of this journey where you had to undergo with respect to the tumor briefly in the next 5, 7, 10 minutes.
Madam, I'll try to.
Yeah.
So this all happened last year when I was had started losing vision. Like I was unable to. My students used to keep coming study underprivileged boys and girls, and I somehow used to manage to teach them because that time I had started experiencing problem reading the line properly. But I ignored, as all housewives, they are too much into so many things, like morning to evening, that you tend to be a little careless towards yourself. So, and the problem started first, which again was ignored. Then I had to get my mother-in-law because there was some problem. And again, I got immersed in all that daily activities, and my father came. And one thing was sure that it was not proper. I could understand that I was losing vision. So my for any problem or anything when I go to bed or whenever I sit with Swami, like sitting with Swami means for my puja. I have my fixed timings when I sit and talk to Swami. He's always there. I say, Swami, kuch to gadbad hai because I'm not able to see, not able to understand, but I'm trying my best to teach them because these children, they so much rely on me. See, ma'am, aap acha padhate ho, you teach me well, and we understand, and we somehow manage to get marks, good marks, and all that. So I continued that way. But then, when my father left from Delhi, then mother also left. Then my daughter comes from Canada after 2 years. Then she asked me, "Hey, Mama, I think so. You and Papa, I'll take both of you for the whole body checkup." That is when I told my daughter, "Hey, see, whole body checkup, वो तो स्वामी के care में है, but I think so there is something seriously wrong with my eyes." She said, then I told her casually, and I again got busy with something else. And the next thing she tells that I booked an appointment with the doctor who is very good here, nearby. So fine, we went there. And then the doctor sees me. He's quiet. Then he says, I think so you have to get all the tests done, whatever is available with us. I get all the tests done. It takes time. Only me and my daughter were there. Then doctor was silent. Like after all the reports came hand to hand, he said, "Do you understand? You have tumor." I said, "Acha, tumor." My daughter was like, "What?" Yeah, it's tumor, and whatever is left vision, if you want to save that, please go for the operation. So, because nothing can be done. Only whatever is left, whatever you can see, only that has to be saved. Then after that, our tickets to Putpati, whenever we four are there, we make it a point to be there. Putpati. Then my brother and everybody, they came to know. My brother got panicked with this size of tumor. It can burst anytime. It's high risk and all that. And you are not going anywhere. That time I realized one thing. I said, Swami, I've been traveling here and there and here and there. Who was protecting me? This big size of tumor. It was you. With you, I was traveling everywhere. And now when it comes to Putpati, I'll cancel my trip. No, no, no way. I'll I have to go to Putpati. That is from whatever you have to decide. मेरे को रखना है. You have to keep me. You have to send me. You have to do whatever with me. It is you. So I have to. I did not agree to that, and I just went to Putpati. I scheduled all four of us. We took very nice darshan, food darshan. I was very fresh. मेरे को तो लग ही नहीं रहा था tumor and all that thing. When I came back, then we went to the doctor. This Dr. Mehta is Padma Shri. Very uh, he was founded by my recommended by my cardiologist. So he was also there. So we all went, and then I'm trying to keep it crisp because there are
Yeah.
many things into it
Yeah.
also because we have time shortage. So he advised that yes, you have to go undergo this endoscopy. Now see, going through the endoscopy, fine, and there was no fear at all. Mommy had taken out. I don't know. Otherwise, I'm quite. They all call me Darpo, very all the time, very scared. So I don't know where this Swami was giving me Pura strength, and I had 100%, yeah, 200%. I don't believe myself, but I have always believed that Swami is there with me. Swami is there. In fact, Swami is. If I am seeing, I am only seeing through Swami. If I am hearing, I am only hearing. He is hearing to me. So that belief is always there. So fine. I went to Satna also. Then after I came back, then they decided to admit me because postponing was the most dangerous thing one could ever feel. I might get blind and all that. Those thoughts were actually troubling my all. Even Bindu was here. So, anyway, the date was decided. I'm not going to details. The date was decided. Then, yes, before that, I lose my only sister-in-law, my husband's sister. And that time was the first time when the fear took good, it overtook everything, all my senses. I said, Swami, it was Swami, Swami everywhere. ये fear मेरे को जो है like losing my sister-in-law, it disturbed me totally.
Plus,
I
you all
said,
had
now
COVID also.
I'm trying my
You all had COVID
best and
also.
yeah, now that's what I'm saying. I'm not going into details because
Yeah.
I had allergic problem and all that thing. How Swami controlled everything, I will take some other time. So that was the time. Then I remember, means I didn't know what to do. My husband also left for his sister's place, and I was here with both my children here. And I was only one thing I used to do. I was being very normal, but always Swami's name. Otherwise also, but this fear was not going out, not at all. After my sister-in-law there, and I said, Swami, Nanswaran is the only way, to win over just any crisis. You can convert. Then I sat and did for 3 hours continuous Hanuman Chalisa. And you won't believe it became that very Pratibha became very calm. Now separating myself from everything, very calm, very peaceful thing, and making we are of a very light temperament. Otherwise, also me, Bindu, and all. And I was back to my normal self by just Namsmaran in that 3 hours. Then the day came when I was to get admitted. My husband took me and I felt I was very normal. Things were put in. I thought, Swami, yeah, I'm getting operated. I was feeling as if I'm going to see someone else for the operation and all that. I was like, अरे मेरा हो रहा है डर तो थोड़ा भी नहीं हो रहा है. I was so cool, so peaceful with him. And Sairam, suddenly before the hospital, suddenly Swami's voice, the voice, why fear when I am here? Those days, Baba, Satya Sai Baba, my Lord. with that song, I started singing. I'm like, have you? I asked the song. I said, no, but I can hear it very clearly. Then he also started singing. Why fear when I'm here? It's still I. Then I get there with sense, and I was lying there on the bed. And my husband, after I was unconscious, I think so, doctor decided some other way to go about this operation. So he come out and he asked my husband, this won't be endoscopic. I'll have to open her brain and do it. My husband, my brothers, obviously they got like little panicky. They were worried. Bindu, as you see, he was just holding on to me. He knew that Swami would take care of everything. And at that time, my husband said, it just came out as if Swami had prompted. See, doctor, please go ahead with the operation, open brain surgery. And you won't believe when I was operated, whenever I came to conscious, then I asked, there were two, three very loving people around me, the doctors, and they were taking care of me. Then all the time I was thinking, when I came conscious, I said, tell me one thing, doctor, have I been operated? So over there, कि कैसी है मतलब she has all those bandages, heavy bandages, and बोले yes, yes, ma'am, you have been operated. And I feel fine. Then the resident came. There was some vomiting. He immediately, with a lot of love, patience, those doctors gave me so much love. I still remember. I don't know. I didn't see them again, but the love that I received to two, three people there, it was marvelous. It was all setting by Swami. And the best part is that I was not only I was feeling operation की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ी. I came out like that. Then my husband came very nervous, like he was looking up. I held his hand. Imagine at that stage. I said, "Tell me one thing. I'm asking everyone. You tell me one thing seriously and the truth. Have I been operated? And no operation is done." I said, "Yeah, yeah, operation is done. So no problem. Huh? I can see. I can talk. Yeah, I started. They said, you are fine. Then doctor here used to come and say, quite, quite, it's going fine. So very soon I was shifted to this room, and I recovered very fast. Until then again radiation therapy was there after 3 months. इसके बीच का भी बहुत कहानी
Yeah.
stories of Tommy's presence felt all the time. Then the little part was left, so I was asked to go for radio therapy. Also fine, and usually people say when you radiation therapy, every doctor was asking me every week, you are not having this nausea, you're not having all the problems. I said, no, no problem at all. How do they know? Yeah, they were not doing radiotherapy. It was Swami who was sending the rays to dissolve the problem. How can they understand? And I was very well, understanding Swami's presence all through the radiotherapy. So I did not face any problem at all. And they were also well, amazed with every same question. And I used to say, answers, there's no problem at all, no headache, no nausea, nothing, nothing, nothing. And I kept doing my morning walk, kept doing my pranayam, kept doing my meditation. So Swami was all throughout this process very strongly with me, always made his presence feel, and I feel he handled the whole thing. I don't know about that. I am fit and fine, ready for the next Balvikas, but he is there. He is taking care. We are all under his care. And this is what I wanted to share. There are many things into it, but we don't have much time for this. So this is a small experience I share.
Sairam. Yeah, Sairam,
Sai
sister.
Ram. Sai Ram, Sai
Beautiful.
Ram,
Beautiful.
everyone. Sai Ram.
There are a lot of things in this. Especially, I'll tell you about small. The whole family, Pratibha, her daughter, her son, they all got COVID at the time when the operation was scheduled. Just a couple of days,
One
few days before that.
more thing.
Uh,
Bindu,
yeah, yeah.
Bindu, one more thing. one more thing. And what I felt I wanted to say, because this is very important. When Bindu comes, you know, Bindu comes that time, we all having COVID restriction and all that, which I was not aware of. स्वामी ने इसको happens, क्या है बहुत बड़ा ऑफिसर भेजता है, you know,
Baby, we are not hearing you clear.
and
Slowly. Pratibha, we are not hearing you clearly. Just keep your phone and your near the mouthpiece. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm saying whenever there is any case or any the crime or let it be any kind of case, usually what happens is solve it. The big officer, superintendent of police, they all are sent to understand it and then resolve it. So when this my case happened and I was in hospital, not aware of the COVID situation at my place and the restriction, then Swami sends his officer Bindu Shekhar Jha right there who takes care of just everything in such a simple and beautiful manner that everything was taken care of. Like big problems felt like snow. My mother always used to say, mountains like problems felt like snow. That is what I experienced throughout this procedure from my tumor removal. So this is what I wanted to add actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
over to you, Bin.
Yes. Thanks. We all have seen that. So we'll discuss more elaborately some other session. But what we wanted to understand is the problems will come. You know, operation, open brain surgery. Then you have COVID. Whole family. The family is scattered. They can't stay together. One is locked in the apartment. All this happened at the same time. But the faith, the surrender, the love that you will make it happen is so important in those times to, emerge out. Thanks, Pratibha. This was not planned. I just told her, I thought it came to my mind because her radiotherapy ended yesterday. I just told her now that if she can share. And I'm really grateful to Swami that she could. And before I go to Brother Shastri, 5 minutes, I want Prashant to share because he was in Manipal campus in the Sai Bhajans in Swami's center, which Swami inaugurated in 1972. And there was something that, a couple of minutes that he can share what happened then. Prashant, you were there?
Saram, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
Okay. Saram, everyone. I'm going to keep this very short. So I go to the Satyasai Center in Udupi every Sunday. I mean, whenever I can, because sometimes it's not possible that much. But so this one particular Sunday evening, I was there at the center, and we were all doing bhajan. We had a beautiful bhajan session. Some very good singers came, and we were all I think in somewhat a trance through those bhajan sessions. And right after we're done with bhajans, we have 2 minutes of silence, 2 minutes of meditation that is done after the bhajan. So there the bell that indicated that meditation time had rung, and everything had gone quiet. Lights had been switched off, and I think we were all closing our eyes, and I could very faintly hear. Uh, I could very faintly hear Swami reciting the Gayatri mantra. So initially, and it was very faint, as if it's playing somewhere in the background, somewhere very far away. So I thought someone in the back of the hall is playing that on their phone, or there is a side kind of a radio or a speaker that is playing it very softly, because it was that prominent yet not prominent. So I'm turning around and I'm trying to look, and all the uncles around me are getting confused that why is this boy getting restless during meditation time. So I'm just trying to see where it is. And that audio is the same audio that they used to play in the Singapore Samiti of Swami saying one line of Gayatri Mantra, and then the whole Kulwant Hall following him. So, and it was exactly that audio that was playing. And I think with each line of the Gayatri Mantra, it became more prominent to me that nobody was playing this. And and what kind of sealed off the moment for me, what made me realize that this is definitely Swami, is when when I slowly, like three drops of tears just started rolling down my cheeks, and that's when I realized that okay, this is something that is definitely of a different experience than someone playing it in the background. And then I think just because we have a human mind and sometimes we don't believe that Swami actually did something like this to us. I went around and asked a few uncles. I'm like, did somebody play Gayatri Mantra? Could you also hear Gayatri Mantra? Just as if to test, and just as if to see if I was dreaming or if I was just imagining things. And they all said no, and all of their eyes widened, and they were like, I think Swami is indicating something. I think you should start chanting Gayatri Mantra more. And everybody had their interpretations, and I mean all of them are correct because it's Swami. He can mean many things with just saying one thing. So I think yeah, that was just a small experience that I felt, and I think it's just Swami's way of indicating that he's always in touch with me and he's always communicating. So yeah, that was it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Prashant. Yeah, he shared with me yesterday was his birthday also. So I said, why don't you come and share what you experienced with Swami? So it was beautiful. Thanks. And that happens when our frequency match. So when we are connected, when we are trying to connect, definitely we'll receive some of his messages. Okay, Brother Shastri, one of the 108 names. We have been starving and dying for it to hear. Last week we could not.
Sairam, brothers and sisters. I think that this week, I think as you started the spiritual progress and the sharings done by Prashant and even sister also, Pratibha, very clearly indicates to us, Om Sri Sai Sujnana Marga Darshakaya Namaha. He is the one who gives us that right path, right direction at the right moment to guide us and the destination that he wants us to take there. So it is he. So he is the one who inspires us as well. So let's all be focused with our entire mind as much possible to one form, one name. Jai Sai Ram.
Sairam. Sairam, brother. Thanks a lot. We come towards the close of this session. Just for information for those who don't know, Prashant has grown up in Singapore in the ambience and vibration of all the lovely Sai devotees who are in this group and also beyond. So he has the blessings of everyone from here, and I'm sure the values that Balvika has instilled in Singapore will carry him much further and farther in the spiritual journey that lies ahead of him. Okay, we bring down with Samastaloka. This session we close with that. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. जय बोलिए भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय. Om Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother Binduja. I just want to add to one thing.
Yeah.
Just now, Prashant told about the Swami singing Gayatri Mantra, right? I want to share you something strange.
Please open your video, brother. Yeah.
No, not video. Okay, I can move. And it's just one thing.
Yeah.
Last week onwards, the CD which used to play Swami sings Gayatri after the Veda chanting is missing.
Oh.
Inside. What happened is, last 1 week, so every week we used to put the CD, Swami sings Gayatri.
Yeah.
After the Gayatri Mantra. Sorry, after the Veda chanting.
Wow.
Last Thursday bhajan, when we used to try to play that is missing. So, what to do means the bhajan finish, the Veda chanting finish.
Wow.
So, there's a gap. Suddenly, the CD is not there. We tried to search upstairs, downstairs, everywhere. Me, Prashant, everybody searched. Not Prashant Shuvan.
Shuvan, yeah.
We searched, it is not there. Okay. I just sharing that this is between me, Shuvan, and people only knows that.
Yeah.
Then what happened is we asked a sister at the media sound system, not Thursday, the day before Thursday. Then to put the download it from YouTube. It's 2 weeks. Download from YouTube and play it. Then they try to download from YouTube. And the YouTube feed coming to laptop feed coming to system, sound system is not working. Then what happened is, asked, suddenly Sister Padmasri came back. What is a complete silent gap? After the Veda chanting is gap.
Yes, yes.
Then Sister started chanting Gayatri Mantra on the mic. So Gayatri Mantra chant started. Then everybody started following her. Gayatri Mantra is filled. That's a filler, or kind of, if you say in the whole bhajan session is a filler until the bhajan starts. Then last week, what it is, we asked in our store, our book center, is there any song, another CD? That is Swami sings Gayatri Mantra. Because that the original CD is missed, gone. Right? We don't know where it's gone. We searched whole center, upstairs, downstairs, every drawer, everywhere we searched. It is not there. Then we bought another CD. Got it from book center, a new CD. That is not the same what used to sing. You can see that the chant is now happening with the music background. It's a meditation music, not the normal Gayatri Mantra CD. I don't know whether you noticed in this last Thursday we did it.
Yes,
it is not the normal Gayatri chanting CD.
You're right.
Swami sings, the chorus gives by the full one. No, it is with meditation music. That CD is there. So I'm asking Prashant, bring back the CD from.
But I think you beautifully connected, brother, and this was happening in the background because you are doing the multimedia part, and now you see how beautifully Swami connects it, because the CD is missing, but he makes him here the part of the Gayatri Chantra mantra, because he's been here in Singapore also, grown up here, and then the CD is missing, and then you get a CD back later. It's such a beautiful coincidence. Thanks for sharing, brother, because this was not known, and we know that Sister Padmasri was doing the Gayatri Mantra and then we were repeating it, and now we know the entire story about it. So it falls absolutely in place when you shared that today. Sairam, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, brothers and sisters. I think have a great Sunday, blessed Sunday, and then following days ahead. We'll catch up again with the topic, are we spiritually progressing and how do we measure it? Thanks. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Thank you, brother. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Thank you. Bye.
Saram.
Sai Ram.